So this package, you can see it's very popular. So you need to install this to create the backend GraphQL API. Just like if you want to create REST API, if you are using Node.js, you use Express.js. So here you use GraphQL server. So let me show you how we can create that. So let me remove this. So I have this empty folder. So whenever you create a new project, always before installing anything, make sure you create a package.json file. So you execute npm init -y. This is very important. Before installing anything, create a package.json. So everything will be documented and others will also know that which packages your application is using. So let me create a server folder here. And I will move this package.json here. So now here we have created this. Let me install at apollo/server. And you also need to install GraphQL, which is the base library. GraphQL, yes. So this is the base library for working with GraphQL. So this is not outside. Make sure you are inside the server. Similarly, I will create a client folder. So we'll create a new entire full stack application. So front end, back end will connect it together. So we'll understand how to use both of these. So now inside server, you can see package.json is there and all the packages are installed. Now I can create a src folder and inside it, let's create index.js. So here we need to import something. So as I said in the last webinar also, so always don't write initial itself everything. Always type the name of the package and then you will get auto suggestion here. So if I say press Control space, you can see you are getting suggestion and you will not make typing mistake. So we need to import Apollo server. Now let's create that server equal to new Apollo server. And for this, you need to pass URL. So what is this type def? So there are two things, type definitions and resolvers. And let's start this server. So again, server, you need to import it separately at Apollo server standalone. And here you need to import the standalone server. Await start and standalone server, and you need to pass the actual server. So this is you need to do only once to start the server. And now this what it will return? It will return the actual URL where the actual server is running. So I can just log this URL server started on URL $URL. So I'm using template literal syntax. And now let's run this application. So to run again, we are using Node.js. So this is Node.js. So whenever you create anything without any React application, that is by default Node.js file. So to run this, you need to install NodeMon. You can install, you can directly run using Node also, but I prefer NodeMon. So we don't need to restart otherwise. NodeMon -save dev. So this is a dev dependency. It is not needed to be imported. So here we are importing. So if you import something, you can directly install this. If you are not importing something, you should install this as a dev dependency. So on production, this will not get installed. So now in package.json, I can add a dev script. And here I can say nodemon /src/index.js. Now if I run this npm run dev, you can see nodemon is started, it's correctly using this. So here you are getting error, you can see failed to load ES module. So as I said, by default, this file is a Node.js and you cannot use the import syntax. So to use this, there is a type, you can say type of common JS. So by default, it's Node.js. Here you can change it to module. So if I change it to module, then you can use the import syntax. So if I start this again, now you will see that you are not getting that error. So now you are getting type def is not defined. So we need to define some types. So what is the types? Type def is a schema. So you define structure of your data. So I will declare a variable const type depth. So these properties name has to be exactly matching. D is capital, type def, and here you need to use the what do you say backtick. So template literal syntax, and here you need to use query type query. And here inside it, you need to define what different things you have. So here you can see we have different name, tagline. Similarly, let's say I want to get, let's say I want to say hello. So I can say hello or any property you want to get. I want to get some name property. So I can define a new name property. And what is its type? So there are different types of scalar types in GraphQL. So it is string, S capital, string, then int, then there is a float, there is id. So id is like a unique id. So you can consider this as a string or it can be a number, but it's like a id which is automatically generated. So if you have something for each column or each table or each field you want to generate this id, you can use this id property. So this can be string as well as number, and string, number, float, and there is a boolean. So these are different types of scalar types. Scalar, or you can consider a primitive type. So name, I want it to be a string. So whenever I request for name property, I want to get a string. So this is how you define type definition or a schema. Now I want to add the implementation. So that comes under resolvers. So in resolvers, it is an object you define. Again, you specify query. So we are getting the data. So we are saying query, and here you add the implementation. So what is the property name? I want to, whenever I access the name property, I want to define a function. So you can use the ES6 shorthand syntax, or you can also write it like this. So whenever I accept or request for name, I will write implementation inside this function. So what I want to return, let's say name Mike. So this is how you add resolver. Now these type defs, I can just say colon type defs, and here I can say resolvers. So I'm just referring that this property name has to exactly match, but to make it easy, I'm using the exact same name. So when the key and the value are exactly same, you can shorthand this. So you don't need to specify it again. So now if I see, you can see server started and you don't have any error. Let me restart this. So we'll have clear terminal. You can see server started on URL localhost 4000. So now if I access this localhost 4000, this is our backend GraphQL server. So you automatically get a server because we are using Apollo server. So let it load. So you can see if I go here, you can see there is an explorer. So here you request the data. So we have seen try GraphQL. So whatever you write query, this is coming in this. And if I go to schema definition, you can see you get all the information what it returns. So which different things you have. So all the operations. So I have name property which I can accept, and it returns a string. So let's go to development, click on Explorer. So I want to get data of name. So I can say query operation. And if I do control space, you can see you get suggestion. So name, I want to request name. Name is a string, so I can directly hit run and you get Mike as the data. So this is, you can see, self-documenting. So you just create a simple server, you define type and you define the implementation and you get that data. Now let's say name, there is a age. So I want to get age also. So I will declare another property. So age will be integer. So I will say int, and I will add another function. So I can say age. So you can simplify this. So you don't need to write colon function. You can write it like this with ES6 shorthand syntax. You can also write it like a arrow function. So this is a normal function. So it depends on you how you are writing function. So from whenever I accept age or request age, I want to return some age, let's say 20. So now this is properties available. So now if I again try to type age, you can see you automatically get suggestion, run, you get this value. So if I try to access something which does not exist, so let's say salary, you can see you immediately get error. What is the error? Cannot query field salary on type query. So this is the advantage of this self documentation. While getting requesting data itself, you will know that what properties you have and what you are getting.